Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Committed Critics, a pop culture podcast where we're not only committed to our opinions, but also each other. Aww. I'm Kevin Lau.
I'm Ryan Davis.
And I'm Zachary Wright. And boys, we're finally back together. What are we, some kind of Suicide Squad?
Whoa. Zach, if you say that again, I'm going to detonate the bomb in the back of your neck.
Please do. I do not want to talk about this
whatever
movie.
they say in the movie. Please end my suffering.
Please, I'm ready. I'm ready to go, guys. This is a cry for help.
No,
Zach. You big babies.
Editors, man, am I right? Always complaining.
The life of editors.
We'll fix it in post.
Kevin, where have you been? Me and Ryan were here last time.
Oh, you know, I was working on a little movie that I will say no more of at the moment. All will be revealed one day, and I'm on a little bit of a break until the next movie starts. So I'm back.
We'll tell that story on a paid episode behind the paywall, so Kevin doesn't get in trouble. Anywho.
Exactly. I actually did not sign an NDA. I didn't sign any paperwork, so I can legally talk about anything.
You could out the whole plot of the movie right here.
But professionally speaking, we're going to switch back to the main topic, which is talking about the Suicide Squad, not the 2016 one. We're talking about the 2021, directed and written by James Gunn, known for Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, and
some
eventually 3.
Really edgy tweets back in the day.
Really cool, not so cool tweets.
No, they were not cool. They were very weird.
He's grown up, I hope. It looks like
did he though? Like this comedy, this movie. I don't know if he has.
Yeah,
no, it's look, man. I don't know the man personally.
No, I don't either. But
so I'm just gonna be like, look, man. I'm not gonna say anything on the topic.
I'll go into my final thoughts at the end of this episode. But let's start with our spoiler-free thoughts.
Spoiler-free thoughts of the Suicide Squad. Ryan, what are your spoiler-free thoughts?
I think I'm the only one who can say, and probably most of America or the world, that I enjoyed the first Suicide Squad, the 2016 one. Oh, you did? Okay. I'm not the only one.
What is wrong with you guys?
Look, the 2016 Suicide Squad is bad for sure, but it's like a fun kind of bad. Now, I think it sucks that we don't get the director's cut of it, but still, it's like it's Suicide Squad.
Do not tell me you're part of the Ayer cut fan. Do not tell me.
I'm not.
Thank you.
I'm not going to champion it. Like I would be like, it's one of those things where it's like it would be nice, but also like it's Suicide Squad. What are you going to get?
Right. All right. I'll be honest. I haven't seen the 2016 version. I just don't want to put myself through that. But I know enough. I've read the Wikipedia. I don't need to see it.
I'll talk more about it in the final thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah. I enjoyed this one. Like, it's a good semi-sequel reboot type thing. Like, it was definitely a little bit weird. As we've talked about already, I was not a big fan of Gunn comedy. The one that always keeps playing in my head is Angel Splooging. That line just really made me cringe very hard as I watched this. It's
very out of nowhere.
It is, and I was just like, what am I watching now? But yeah, I didn't like the final villain. That was kind of I don't know. I'll get more into that later, but overall, I like the feel of it. I liked it even more than the Snyder cut, probably because it wasn't 4 hours long. But yeah, I'd give it. What?
I said I'll give you that. That's fair.
I was like, oh, I can finish this. But yeah, I give it a 4 out of 5. I wish I had seen it in theaters, though. I really wish I had seen it in theaters.
Yeah, well,
I would agree with that.
I saw it in theaters. I braved it.
Rich boy.
With a couple friends, and we were the only ones there. But yeah, no. So like, for my spoiler-free thoughts, is that it's one of those cases where I enjoyed the film, but I was kind of disappointed by it, and I felt like there was some missed potential.
Yeah.
Like, this happens occasionally with me, where it's like I watch a trailer, I'm like, oh, I'm hyped for this. Like, I kind of like start thinking about the possibilities for the story, and then like I see the movie, and I'm like, well, I still had fun with it. It's not a bad movie, but like, I wish it could have been a lot better. Like, there's some of the character work could be much could be much stronger. Some of the plot points can be a lot more effective.
And see, Kevin, I was the opposite of you. I saw the trailer and thought this was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my god.
That the main official trailer, I love the sound design of that with the music. Like, you know, it's when it comes to trailers, it's just more like, you know, like I saw it planting seeds for the movie, and then the movie instantly subverts it, which I'll get more into in our spoiler talk. But like, no, I love the trailer. I think it's absolutely great. Like, if you have a good headphones watching it, oh man, the sound design is impeccable.
Right.
But I do think that I say this being a huge fan of comedy, is that this movie leans too much into the comedy for the story it's trying to go for, when it really kind of cushions the heavier moments so they really don't hit as hard as I think they could have. Like, you can still like I want. And even the comedy, like it's consistently funny, but it's not like there's no big joke that I thought was really great. And just like there was no big moment that I thought hit really well. It was kind of like very middling throughout.
There's only one joke that I can find.
I think the comedy in Guardians hits a lot harder than the comedy in here.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, I can't even say that.
Well, look, the whole thing with Star-Lord's like, why do you want to save the galaxy? Because I'm one of the idiots who lives in it. Like that's one
relatable.
of the greatest jokes. It's a very great character-driven comedy, whereas Suicide Squad runs a bit differently, and I actually have more notes on that later.
Yeah. And then for me, the best way to describe it, like people say like Marvel movies, super movies are like junk food for the brain. This to me felt more like that actual like comic book movie junk food for me.
Yeah, this is the actual comic book junk food.
This is the actual junk food, and like it's a fun joyride. Like, it's entertaining, it's fun to be on, but by the end, it's like, wow, I just wasted a whole tank of gas doing this. Like, there's really nothing like satisfying at the end. The main cast were like by the very end were all my all my favorites. But even by then, like, I didn't really care. Like, I don't really want to rewatch this if I have to. Right? I don't know how you watched it 3 times. I would have fell asleep by the 3rd time.
You watched it 3 times
because I had 3 different people. I watched it once by myself. Then my cousin wanted to watch it, and then a group of friends wanted to watch it. So I watched it 3 times. I also watched Captain Marvel 3 times, and I've watched Avengers Endgame 4 times. I've watched a lot of movies repeatedly.
I've watched Captain Marvel 3 times and Endgame 3 times as well.
This
is a 2.5 or 3 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, 3 out of 5 for me. Ryan, I don't think you said your rating yet.
4 out of 5.
Gotcha.
On a bad day, I will go into the mud and say it's 2.5 out of 5.
That's fair.
Anyway,
I think. Yeah, but I mean, like my only argument against that is like I think more of it works than what doesn't work, but it's just all very middling.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But yeah,
like this is definitely a movie I'll buy on DVD.
I will. Anyway,
I have to complete the collection.
Yeah, complete the collection. That's the only reason I have some of these DC movies.
That's all right. That's how they get you.
Spoiler warning, folks. Spoiler warning.
We will talk about spoilers of the Suicide Squad. We will not address leaks and whatever else they say on YAs with Ty and Dan.
Are you stealing Danny and Ty's spoiler warning?
Hey, listen to YAs with Ty and Dan. Zach edits their episodes now.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I enjoy it.
But yeah, so now diving into spoilers, what is one thing you liked about the Suicide Squad? Zach, you want to kick us off?
The main cast by the end. So like in the first 15 minutes, there's a very bloody opening where the other half of the Suicide Squad just gets their head blown off. Like, I didn't care for that at all. Like seeing Pete Davidson's skull rip open, like, all right, cool. Like there's a lot of like meaningless violence in this. Like,
right.
Like I guess like
it's like it gets a bit more extreme than it needs to.
It's the opposite of what Invincible does. Like Invincible shows the violence, show what like Mark is up against. This just does it for the sake of doing it because James Gunn can. Like that's he was given carte blanche with the budget and said have fun. Like go have fun, you crazy kid. You're on DC's side now. Idris Elba was fantastic. I love Bloodsport. He was great. King Shark was adorable. Like I don't know how they made a shark adorable. Harley was fine, but I still prefer Harley from Birds of Prey because her narrative's so separate from what happens in this. Like she just kind of like finds her way back to the Suicide Squad. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. But I still like her better in Birds of Prey just because it's more of like a character study or a character of character driven what happens to her in Birds of Prey.
Right. What about you, Ryan? What's one thing you enjoyed?
I did enjoy the cast and the camaraderie, like Zach. I wish they had kept a few more of them and killed them off as it went along instead of one massive massacre at the beginning. But I get why they did it. It was for shock factor. I actually did enjoy some of the violence because, on the two R-rated DC movies we have, this I find was better, only because they use villains as villains, because villains would very much just kill people for fun. And some of them, it was a little bit comical. Like King Shark, love the dude, but every single time he ate a dude, I was like, this is just over the top. He is not what.
I feel actually King Shark eating people was very toned down compared to all the other violence that was going on.
Yeah, for sure. Like when they massacre an entire village.
He just swallows a guy. We don't really see much of anything. Then there's one time he rips a guy open, but it's kind of obscured by the rain.
Right. And see, I enjoyed that because I was like, okay, these villains are actually acting like villains. Whereas sorry, Zach, but in Birds of Prey, that Harley hallway scene is one of my least favorite things about that movie. Because I will not believe Harley Quinn would not walk into a station full of police officers and kill them all dead. So I did enjoy the stuff in this a little bit more. I do agree with you, Zach, though, that Harley was kind of out of place in this. And everyone I've talked to about it was kind of she kind of was just there.
Yeah.
She didn't really contribute anything. You could have not had Harley there, and the only difference it would have made is that someone else would have had to run the javelin into Starro.
Yeah, just James Gunn didn't really do her any justice. She was just kind of there and didn't really write her in a way that made it more impactful for what she is,
This going back and how we were talking about how this is actual comic book movie junk food, this Harley Quinn's inclusion really felt like she was there just to sell merchandise.
Yes, for sure.
I feel like it's the Harley Quinn. They're watching it as okay, you saw the first Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn's, and it's I kind of feel like how it's in a comic book. Whereas, okay, if you've seen the first volume or whatever, who the old characters are. Here are the new ones. We're gonna focus on them more, which is why I feel like it didn't focus on Flag as much. Yeah, it didn't focus on Harley as much. It killed Boomerang in the first 5 minutes.
Which I think killed really marked Flag for death pretty early on.
Right.
I didn't see that because Flag is usually he's the leader of the Suicide Squad. He's the he's supposed to be one in control of them. So they made him a little bit more of a rebel in this one, which I did like, because in the more recent comics, Flag is less soldier-like. He was less how he was in the first movie, where he's soldier, shut up. But I will say the reason Flag died is because Katana wasn't there to have his back.
I do... when Captain Boomerang died, I was like, oh, that's so sad, because I don't really care for Jai Courtney, but it's Captain Boomerang was one of the few roles I saw him in where it was just oh yeah, he fits this. I like this.
Yeah.
I get why why he was done. He was oh yeah, anyone can die in this movie. I'm just kind of but I think it would have been funnier if you kept Captain Boomerang around. Because he just all he does is just throws boomerangs.
Right. Yeah. Kevin, did you say what you liked yet or not?
Well, I can just go over it real quick. We're just I think the casting is superb and the character development works for the most part, but it's really mostly on paper.
It's
very simple. It's very simple. It's they start one way, they end another way. That transition is kind of it's fine, I guess.
I think it only works for Bloodsport by the very end.
At the very end, I think it works for Rat Catcher and Polka Dot Man.
Okay, fair. I'll give you that.
Because Rat Catcher has the strongest payoff.
She's the moral
with her
center.
Setup.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Polka Dot Man goes through the biggest change, but then he gets killed off. King Shark, I love King Shark, and he's great. And in Bloodsport, his character development was always weird to me because it was more like I said, where the trailer had set him up as one way, then instantly the first scene you see get him in the movie, he's completely different what he's represented in the trailer as an active subversion. But then it's just and then he just continues with his attitude, and I'm just man, I don't really like this guy. Idris Elba is great. He's a great actor, and he really played the role really well. But the character himself, I'm just what is his actual change? Because I don't feel, because he changes his viewpoint of his daughter, but but all that development comes through Rat Catcher. So it's just like his daughter is not aware of any of this. So like there's not that connection being made at all.
See, I didn't feel like there was any development for any character other than Peacemaker Peacemaker and Flag. Like other than their thing, I didn't feel like any character had development other than, hey, we were gonna die, we didn't die, sweet.
Right. Well, Rat Catcher is more like accepting of her past, so that way she can embrace the future. Polka Dot Man's like, oh, I'm a superhero now, like, you know, and then he dies. I was telling Zach this is like, man, I wanted Polka Dot Man to live so that way we can have a Rat Catcher Polka Dot Man buddy cop show with King Shark in tow.
See, I already felt like Rat Catcher accepted her past because she was like, hey, I'm using the rats. And like, I like them, you know. I felt like the more character development was Idris Elba accepting what's the rat's name? Sheldon? Was it Sheldon?
Genesis? No,
it started with an S. I can't remember. But yes, I felt like that was more character development than the rest of them. Like, I enjoyed all their characters, like, but I didn't feel like they needed development in any sense. Like, they were already, I mean, like, that's the beauty of Suicide Squad, is like the ones who don't get developed, they die. And the ones who get, and the one, like, they don't have to develop, because at the end of the day, they're either going to die or they're not. And if they don't die, that's development right there.
The rat's name was Sebastian.
Like the film is trying to give these characters development, and I don't think it fully succeeds in what it's going for. And like, you know, you still want to give development for the characters who die because you want their deaths to be you want to have their deaths to have impact on the audience emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You want it to be like, no, like I wanted that character to live, like, you know, with Polka Dot Man, it's like, I wanted that character to live and he died. Like, you know, I mean, it's how you make a good character death, but also I'm like, well, it's like, but the rest of the movie didn't quite work in a way to justify the death of Polka Dot Man, in my opinion. But, I agree. You know, that's its own thing. It's not one of those things where it's like, this is the problem with the movie. It's more like death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
So
I kind of get it, but
with that, we're going to take a quick break.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we'll talk about one thing that we didn't like, then our final thoughts. See you in a bit.
Don't you wish there was a pop culture review site that appealed to cinephiles, both professional and casual? Well, look no further than crpwrites.com. New content such as movie and TV reviews, film essays, and more are released every week by writers who crave for movies like every moviegoer craves for popcorn. CRP Writes is dedicated to making sure no one is wasting time or money where they shouldn't be. After all, you have to be able to buy your popcorn and eat it too. crpwrites.com. Casual reviews with purpose since 2018.
Starting a podcast? Try a Podbean Unlimited hosting plan. It's what we use here at Committed Critics, giving us the opportunity to have our show on Pandora, iHeartRadio, and even Spotify. You can get your first month of unlimited hosting for free on us by going to podbean.com/committedcrits, just like our Twitter, or by clicking the link in the description. Podbean, the easiest, most affordable option to get started in podcasting. And welcome back to Committed Critics as we continue to talk about the Suicide Squad. And one thing that we didn't like. We kind of talked about it a little bit. We talked about a lot
we didn't like, and the one thing we liked.
So maybe we'll talk about things we liked in this portion of it.
No,
but Ryan, you want to kick us off?
Well, we kind of talked about it in the break, but yeah, this is James Gunn not held back by Disney.
You are correct.
And
yes.
he's completely on a. It's like dark. It has the most sex filled theme. I can't think of where all the innuendos was just like
provocative innuendos. Yeah, you're right.
I did not need to see John Cena do a jerk off and splooge, because the word splooge is now just stuck in my head from this movie. I hate that. But I did not. I could have gone 100 years without ever hearing that from Harley Quinn. But yes, my biggest problem was just that Starro. As I said kind of in the beginning, I just did not like him as being the final villain. Kind of like how Enchantress was kind of that would have been a good second movie, but I understand why they had it in the first. Starro is like a Justice League level threat, on par with like Martian Manhunter and telepathic powers. Like he's one of their first villains, and that's what kind of brings them together. And in this, he got taken out by a swarm of rats and a javelin.
Well, I think the one thing to add to that is like Starro was like the big like CGI battle. Like, okay, cool, whatever. But like you had the Thinker right there, and you had Peter Capaldi playing him, who is a phenomenal actor. And like he's not that smart. He's kind of he's kind of freaking stupid.
It feels like it's like the movie's fun, but I feel like there's some wasted potential here.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I never saw Peter Capaldi as the main villain. Like, I really did not even expect him to spend as much time.
No, I didn't either at all. I just thought, like, he would have been a way better villain for the story.
He would have been, like, kind of how Joker was to me. Like, he would have just been, like, he's supposed to be there to, like, cause problems, but, like, the clear main villain's Enchantress. So, like, the clear main villain is supposed to be Starro, but, like, he's locked up for the entire movie. So, like, he doesn't pop out until the end, and at the end, he should have been way stronger. Like, I'm sorry, that swarm should have messed up some people.
And I mean that goes with saying with like what I said earlier. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words, but
you're good.
It is the dramatic moments of this movie don't hit as hard because there's not enough push to them, and focusing too much on comedy, but it's just middling comedy. So you're just kind of like, you kind of have this a little bit of a neutral feeling throughout where, you know, when the whole part when Flag was like, they were testing on children, it was just like, I kind of felt nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, that's supposed, it's like, I want to feel that, like, how messed up this situation is. And it's like, this is an R-rated movie. This is the movie where this is like with R ratings, you really show the gravity of the situation.
Right. Yeah. They kind of did with
they kind of did with the lab, but like they didn't show enough. And I wish if they had shown, well, they can't really show a dead kid's body, but
they wasted all the gore on the first opening scene.
I think what they should have done is that that's why one of the reasons I think they should have kept a few more Suicide Squad members to make it through, so that you can get a few of them to get Starro'd. Like if you had seen like them having to fight a few of the people that they were working with and that they had built a relationship with, like if Rat Catcher had been like Starro'd, you would like that would have been heartbreaking. Like you would have been like, well, dang, what do we do? And that Idris Elba having to kill all the rats.
What if Darkseid was the villain instead of Starro?
Oh my god,
that would have been even stupider. Like I
feel really like it's that'd be one of those choices where it's like, this is really stupid, but it's stupid enough that I'm really into it.
Well, I mean, like some of the Suicide Squad's villains have been like, they fought Zod, and I don't know how the hell they came out of that alive, but like I think like they should have chosen a different villain. Like a different big villain at the end.
Yeah.
Like if it had been like, I don't know, like Bane or something. Like they could have done Bane. They could have done Bane. Like something that's like feasible for them to beat, but like not like all godlike power that they should be Superman handling this.
It could have just been Thinker with the same idea of like making a bunch of mind control minions like him.
Yeah.
And like it would have been a little more like personal, like maybe personal because you're putting a face to a like villain instead of just a giant like starfish, you know? Like, like for me, like the zaniness of it all really just doesn't really work. It's like you said, Ryan, it's James Gunn, unedited, uncensored, and it just kind of feels like he threw up all over the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, oh, sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
I was just gonna say, like, most of the people who I know aren't comic fans, like, they asked me like, is a starfish like a real thing? And I'm like, yes, there's actually a giant starfish in DC Comics that mind controls people. This was not made up just for Suicide Squad. Like, this is a real character, but all of them just are like, this can't be real. This can't be a real DC thing. And I'm like, yes, it is.
That's what it feels. Wait, so Kevin, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I mean, like, to counter your point a little bit, Zach, I actually really do like the zaniness of the movie because it's like, it's very like, this movie is very comic booky. Like, that's what I knew going in with James Gunn.
Comic book movie. That's really what it is.
Right. Well, yeah, but you know, and it's like, you know, comic books are zany. You got these people with wacky powers going into wacky creatures.
Sorry. Yes. Sorry. What I meant to say was it's a mid-tier comic book.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's really what I meant to say. Yeah, it's a mid-tier comic.
Because it doesn't quite reach the character work that it's trying to reach.
Yeah.
With James Gunn, his sense of humor, from his past movies before Guardians and even his novel, his humor is always relies on shock value. Like he doesn't really like. There's no real character driven humor until Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2.
I think you can even attribute Guardians of the Galaxy coming from, like you guys said, Disney, Kevin Feige being that guiding hand. Like, no, come back here, you crazy little man, come back. Like,
well, I mean, like I think with in the first movie he had a co-writer as well.
It was Zach Penn, I believe.
No, it was Nicole Perlman.
I'll bet you any amount of money it's Zach Penn, Kevin.
Okay.
You want to know why?
I know. We'll find out. But yeah, so but like, and then kind of building more on top of it, like with James Gunn having this control, it's like, so my note is that awkward moment when you give a director free rein and then the editing and cinematography don't work well together. I don't know if James Gunn edits. I don't know if he shoots for the edit, but like, gosh dang it. The way the camera movements are, and then how it's like suddenly jolting cut together with other things, it just does not work.
God damn it, Kevin! I'm so sorry. You were correct. Because in my defense, I was watching Avengers. Avengers was playing at the break room at work the other day, and it was Avengers right to Guardians. So I blurred my head, thinking that Zach Penn's name showed up in the Guardians credits. It was Nicole Perlman. You were correct. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You owe him money now, Zach.
You owe me a soda.
I owe you a soda. I was very confident.
Mail it all the way to me.
And I just fell on my face on that one. I am sorry.
I was thinking. Well, okay. I didn't know Zach Penn wrote an MCU movie. So.
He helped on Avengers.
Oh, that's the only one?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. he got out before Disney took over.
Yes, correct.
But yeah, so like a lot of the cinematography and editing, like the camera movement, especially like the most egregious one is the Rat Catcher flashback towards the end of the movie.
Oh God. Gross.
It's like it's like a still shot looking at her and suddenly cut. And then like we're in like a very dark area,
and then Taika Waititi shows up, and that's all it is.
The camera's moving all over the place, and at the end we have this grand shot of the city, and then suddenly cut to a still close up. I'm just like, this hurts my eyes. I don't know if you felt that, Ryan.
It was gross.
No, I didn't. I had no problem with it. Okay, here's the thing. I don't look for editing all the time in movies unless it's like one of those like super long shots. When it comes, I didn't see it. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't see it. My favorite scene is still the rain.
I mean, the hallway fight scene with Harley Quinn. That was like, I really like the choreography of that one, and there are use of wide shots in that choreography, but the editing is so jarring that it was hard to really keep track of it. Even though like I can tell the way it's shot, like I know where everything's at, the editing just kind of ruins it.
Yeah,
I mean, I would agree. After watching Taken and watching Liam Neeson take 30 shots to hop a fence, nothing really jars me for editing anymore. So
yeah, Taken is a great offender of that one.
I think my biggest thing with this film is this goes back to when James Gunn had all those tweets surface, and like this film kind of not validates those old tweets, but it's just like, oh, that is your kind of humor. That is the way you thought. So back in the day, you did think those tweets were funny.
Really surprised how much Warner Brothers allowed in this movie. Like, there's like, oh, like usually like with like Marvel has been especially on top of it, where it's just like they kind of really toned down of like the presence of sex in the MCU.
Right.
Obviously, somehow Taika Waititi got way past it.
Not really. Look at like Age of Ultron and like Iron Man 1. There's still a little bit in
there's
there.
still references to it, but it's not like a sex scene.
Right.
I mean, but like, did they with? I mean, Taika Waititi. I was like, I don't remember that.
There was like the whole thing with the Grandmaster, like, and having orgies on his ship.
Yeah.
Oh, did he? I was like, okay, I'll be honest. I block out half of Thor Ragnarok, or okay, let me say 90% of Thor Ragnarok, so I don't remember everything that was said in it.
Ryan only remembers the jokes.
All I remember from Thor Ragnarok is that he cried about his hair and his hammer. And get help.
All right, get out of here.
No, Ryan, stay for the final thoughts. But yeah, so final thoughts. Mine is I definitely had fun with the movie. It is worth the admission price. But give me Shang-Chi right now.
I'm very glad I did not pay for this movie. Looking back on it, I'm very glad I did not pay for this movie. I got
this kind of price, so it was like $7.
I would have too. Like if I went to the movie theater near us because of my job, I would have gotten a discount. But like, nice. I'm good. Like I'm glad I didn't pay for it.
I wish I had gone to see it in theaters because I feel like one, the soundtrack would have been better, and two, some of the sound design would have been better.
The sound design is actually pretty bad on this movie.
Really? Oh well. I still would prefer to see this in theaters compared to like, I don't know, just like some of the more the other movies I've seen in theaters recently. I'm just like, I would have rather seen Suicide Squad. Also, I forgot to mention in my the stuff I like, but Milton is my favorite character.
Nice. R.I.P. Milton.
Only Polka Dot Man knew who he was.
Who's Milton? No, Bloodsport knew who he was. He was just like, why is he here?
It's like, Milton's still with us.
Also, R.I.P. Katana. We don't know where she went, but she didn't have anyone's back.
Mm-hmm. Zach, any final thoughts from you?
I said mine with the tweets and stuff. Like I said, this kind of shows how James Gunn's mind works in actuality. It's kind of sad almost because like he wanted to give him a little bit more of a shot, like another second chance because the Guardians films were decent. But it's kind of like, ooh, damn.
Yeah.
Like I hope Guardians 3 is all right and the holiday special is fine. But man, I don't need any more. But then that's
kind of pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't need more from you. Like, you can go back to your whole...
And I also think Peacemaker is a weird character to do a spin-off of.
Yeah, when Bloodsport's
they're doing an actual spin-off of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's HBO. It's going to be an HBO Max show.
Oh, I thought that was just going to be a sequel. I thought that was just going to be in the sequel. Oh, no. I don't... Yeah, that's not the person
I... miniseries on HBO Max.
See, I don't want that.
Idris Elba right there, and you could have made a Bloodsport series.
Dude, you can make Rat Catcher and Polka Dot Man a buddy cop show.
I mean, I don't think Suicide Squad has the right characters to make spin-off things of. We already have the Harley Quinn show. That's about
I will give James Gunn the one credit of making CGI characters pretty like lovable, like Groot and King Shark. I'll give him that. He's good at that.
The visual effects are very well integrated in this movie.
Yeah.
And I have no problems with that. It's just like the story, obviously, but like I said, the sound design, it just sounds super basic. It's coming from directly in front of you from the screen, not and like only very little things come from the side from the theater experience. But like I've heard significantly better on a lower budget. So.
Kevin, I'll ask you one question about the story.
Yeah.
What story? That's it. That's all I got. Good night, folks.
That's a good question. It's something. All
right, Kevin, take us out. We got to end this episode.
This has been Committed Critics. You can follow us on Twitter at Committed Critics. That's COMMITTED CRITS. You can follow us on YouTube at Committed Critics. It is spelled the same there. It is here and everywhere else. You can support us on Patreon in the link below. Special thanks to our current patrons, Davey Peppers from Game Mechanics, Ryan Kolakowski from Ryan Plays Drums, Andy Phillips from Andy Phillips, and Jody Wright. Special thanks to our sound engineer, Jordan Smearman, and we're going to take a little bit of a break after this. So stay tuned for more
Small
info.
hiatus. We're going to do some under construction. We're going to revamp a little bit. Stay tuned.
Just stay tuned. But don't hold your breath, because you might die after 10 minutes of holding that breath.
Oh my God.
Until then, see ya.
Bye guys. Love you.
Bye.